Hi guys, in this tutorial we're going to be looking at um, aliasing your table, okay? Aliasing your table or aliasing your data source, okay? And how how exactly do I mean or what do I mean by data source? So wherever your data is coming from becomes your data source. So in this case, our data is coming from employees table, or maybe we have data coming from regions table or from any other table that you have in your database. That becomes your data source. Okay, so wherever you're getting data from, if your data is coming from an Excel spreadsheet, that becomes your data source. Okay, so but in this context we are looking at our data coming from our relational tables. So that is called data source. So I quickly want to show you how to alias your um, table. Okay, and in the bit you're going to see why we need to alias a table. Okay, you see the benefits of aliasing your tables. If you recall and if you've been following this tutorial from the beginning, okay, we looked at um, aliasing. For those of you that have been following, you remember we looked at aliasing. So this would be like a refresher for people that fall into such category. And if you're just coming across this video, please go back. This is video 60, I think. We started uploading from uh, video 1 and it's up to 60 now. So I don't want you to miss out on anything. If you are just coming across this, this is not the first video. Okay, we started from video 1 and now we're on 60 and I'm still uploading. So it's an end-to-end tutorial. This is a kind of tutorial that will give you an end-to-end knowledge if you need SQL skill. Maybe you are a business analyst and you find yourself in maybe a data warehousing project, a master data management project, or any other data related project, okay, and you that requires the knowledge of data, relational database management, writing queries, or maybe you are a data analyst, you are a beginner, okay, a business analyst who requires or who needs SQL skill, or a data analyst who is just beginning, or you are looking into launching a career in as a data analyst or as a technical business analyst. This course is meant for you. If you are already an expert, you don't need this course. You already know what we're going to be talking about in this tutorial. But if you are a beginner, you need more knowledge, you need some clarification, or you are very green, you don't even know nothing in SQL, but it's an area you are interested in, you want to launch a career in that field, this course is meant for you. Okay, so um, that being said, let's quickly look at these requirements you see on your screen. We started this in the previous tutorial, okay? So we are just going to look at a similar requirement to what we looked at in the last tutorial, and I will use that to um, discuss the concept of aliasing and why we need to alias. Okay, it's optional. You don't need to, but you'll be able to tell the difference after we look at this example. Okay, so we have a requirement that says create a report that shows employees and their regions. Okay, so looking at these requirements, what do you think we need? What do you think would be enough to put in our reports to give to the business or to give to whoever is asking for these reports? So, in my opinion, I think um, maybe if we put employee's first name, okay, uh, last name. This is not cast in stone. You are a data analyst, you would know what to put in your report. Sometimes the way you get your requirement, it might spell out what columns should be in the report. Sometimes it doesn't come that way. So, but it will be apparent in the requirement what to put in your report. So maybe you want to see first name, want to see last name, and we want to see the region that each employee belongs to. And perhaps we want to see region ID. Okay, so where are we getting this from? We want to see all of these columns, these four columns, from employees. Okay, so by now I expect that we are all familiar with the tables we have in this database. So from employees table, we'll be able to get the first name, the last name, but we won't be able to get region and region ID. These two columns, region in particular, will come from region table, but region ID is in employees table. And don't forget that region ID is also in regions table. Okay, but let's skip that for now. But my point here is we need to join two tables together if we will be able to return these four columns. So first name and last name will come from employees table, but region will come from regions table. So to join that, I will say inner join regions. So from employees, inner join regions. Okay. If I want to join employees table to regions table, I need to specify the common field. Okay, when I say field, I mean column. Okay, so you can decide to use whichever you want, field or column. So if you are joining two tables or two or more tables together, you need to identify the common field, the common column on which you are going to join those tables. So we are joining these two tables on, we already figured out the common fields. We have region ID in employees table. We also have region ID column in regions table. So that field, the region ID field, is common to both tables. So we are going to be joining on that. And if you care to know, a region ID column in regions table is a primary key field, and region ID column in employees table is a foreign key field. And that's the idea when you are joining two tables together and you look for where there is a primary key field in one table, and then that same primary key field, it's a foreign key field in the other table. Most likely that's where you're going to be joining. Maybe there might be few exceptions here and there, but let's limit it to that in most cases it's going to be like that. A common field would be a primary key field in table A, and then it would be a foreign key field in table B. Like in this context, region ID field is a primary key field in regions table and is a foreign key field in employees table. So we'd say join these two tables on region underscore ID equals region underscore ID. But we'll have a problem if we run this like this because it doesn't know what region ID column we are talking about, because there's region ID column in employees table and there's also region ID column in regions table. So in that case, we need to let SQL know that I'm talking about employees dot region ID. You see immediately region ID has changed, the color has changed. See, it looks blue. Yeah, because now it knows what you are saying. Oh, you're talking about region ID column in employees table. And I'll do the same thing to this as well. I'll say I'm talking about regions dot region ID. So now it knows what you are saying. Now is no more ambiguous. It's clear. It knows what you are saying exactly. Okay. If I run this, um, do you know if, can you think for a minute, is this going to run? And if it's not going to run, what do you think um, the problem would be? Okay, so let's run this. And if we have issues, we look at the error message and we'll fix it. Okay, so now we want to select first name, last name, region, region ID from employees, inner join regions on employees.region ID equals regions.region ID. So let's run. Okay, let's look at the error message. It says column reference region ID is ambiguous. So it's saying this region ID you want me to return. There's region ID column in employees table and there's region ID column in regions table. So where do you want me to return this region ID column from? So it doesn't know where, it's confused. That's why it says it's ambiguous. I don't know where you want me to pick it from. I can see that this column is in two tables. Which of the tables do you want me to pick it from? So the same way we reference region ID here to say employees.region ID, I need to come here and do the same thing. I say, okay, I want you to return it from employees.region ID. So now it knows, okay, you're talking about the region ID in employees table. So now that we reference the region ID, let's run again and see what we have. And now we are fine. So we have first name, we have last name, the region each employee works for, and the region ID. Okay, so a region central has region ID 4. So anywhere we see central as a region, the region ID is 4. Okay, anywhere we see northwest region, the region ID is 3. Anywhere we see region, you see region is 4, and East Asia 5, like that. Okay, now where does aliasing comes in? What if I come here, okay, and I say I want this instead of employees, I want a short form. I don't want this to be this long. So anywhere you see employees, let it be E. Okay. So we are saying employees as E. We are giving it a nickname. We are giving it an alias. So anywhere you see employees, let it be E. That's why we are saying employees as E. We do the same thing for regions. Okay, anywhere you see regions, let it be as R. You can call it whatever you want. You can put your name in there, you can put an alphabet, but the whole idea is we want to use an alias that is short. So anywhere you need to repeat yourself, you need to reference, you can just put in the alias. Okay, that's one reason. It makes your query, it makes your code uh, looks neat and clean. That's one reason. The other reason why you want to be doing this is because uh, is we can repeat employees is not too long. We can repeat regions is not too long. But in an enterprise environment, the way table tables are named, the way columns are named, sometimes they are, or most of the time, for the most part, they are unnecessarily long and they are not given friendly names like employees, regions. They are not really named like that in an enterprise environment. You find several underscore in one table name, several underscore in one column name. They are not, most of the time, they are not friendly names. Okay, so you want to represent it with a friendly name that you can use in your query. Okay, you are not changing the names in the database, in the tables. You are just changing the names in your reports. Okay, so you see, we have two reasons now. Your query, your code becomes neat and clean or cleaner, and in an enterprise environment because most of the time column names, table names are not given friendly names. So it might you might be finding it difficult repeating unnecessarily long column or table names. Okay, and you might be joining 5 or 10 tables together. So imagine that I'm doing employees dot this, employees dot that everywhere in like 10 or 20 places in my query. So those are some of the reasons why you want to alias. Okay, so now I'm saying from employees as E and from regions as R. Now, if I run this, let's see if it's going to run. And if it doesn't run, we look at the error message and we can fix it. So let's run this. Now it says invalid reference. So if you look at the employees.region ID, it doesn't know what is employees again. Why? Because we said we want to represent employees as E. So all I need to do is to come here. Instead of writing employees, I can say E dot region ID. If I run this, it's going to complain about regions dot region ID. Why? Because I just alias regions to be R. So all I need to do is to come here and change this to R dot region ID. Let's run this and see if it's going to run successfully. If it doesn't, we look at the error and then we can fix the problem. Now it's still saying invalid reference. And where's that coming from? Remember we said select first name, last name, region, employees.region ID. It doesn't know what employees is again. It doesn't know what it is anymore. Why? Because we have just changed employees to be E. We just give it an alias, E. So wherever we want to reference employees table, we can just put in E. So I'm going to change this to E. So we want to see E.region ID. Okay. So let's run and see what we have. Now we are good to go. Can you see how clean your query is? We don't have to say employees all the time. We don't have to say regions all the time. You can give it an alias. Okay, so the query runs, we are fine. Because in an enterprise environment, your query, you might be writing a very long query with some lengthy name. You don't want to put them there. So you can just, abbreviate it, give it a short form, whatever you want to call it. You can even change this to EMP, EMP. So just something friendly that you will be able to relate with. Okay, that's the whole essence. Now, one more thing I want us to do before uh, we conclude this tutorial is, do I really need to put as? Yes. Do I really need to put as E? When you are aliasing, is your option to say as if you want. But if I remove this as, is it still going to run? Will it know what I'm trying to say? That I'm only trying to alias my data source, and in this context, my table. So now I remove the has. I just want to run what you see on your screen. So select first name, last name, region, either region ID from employees E, inner join regions R. Okay, so without the has, let's see if it's going to run. And we are fine. So what we have is fine. If I could do without using as, then it's better for me. So you see what this query is doing, and I hope you understand the whole ideology, the whole concept around aliasing. Okay, so I decided to do this. I decided to come up with this session because going forward, you're going to see me using alias, and then you won't need to, be confused about. So why are we using alias? Why are we changing table name? This session is to let you know. This tutorial is actually to address that, the why. If you know the why behind what you're doing, you have a better understanding of what you are doing. If you know the why, the benefit, and that's really the way I study. That's really the way I get to know things. there are so many things I've not really done hands-on on. There are so many things I've not really done in an enterprise environment, but I try to read about things. I want to know why, the benefit, the genesis, the history around that thing. So it gives me better understanding of what I'm doing. So, and I would also advise that it's really a good way to learn. So now that you know why you are aliasing, you won't have a problem going forward using or aliasing your table. So we're going to continue doing this over the next series of tutorial I'm going to be uploading. And in the next one, we look at some more examples, okay, of um, joins. We are still on inner join, so we're going to be looking at more examples of inner join. Beyond using Postgres, I'm going to also come up with some videos on still on inner join using Microsoft SQL Server and possibly maybe Oracle. Okay, I just want us to use different examples. The concept of joins is important. You need to understand it. You need to get it. It's going to help your life. It's going to make your life so easy and beautiful. So just trust me on this. If you need to watch this video over and over again, please do. If you want me to add anything, if you like this video, please click on like. If you don't want to miss out on any of my upcoming videos, please subscribe so that as soon as I upload, you get to know. And if you are watching this for the first time, please look for uh, where we started from. This is video 60. So look for the previous videos. Don't watch this in a disjointed way or in an isolated way. You won't really grasp the concept. Start watching from the very beginning. Take your time. You don't need to rush. This is a concept that might take you, some months to really understand. And by the time you are done with this, feel free to start applying for an entry role. Using SQL as a data analyst or as a business analyst. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.